We're just about set to go boat racing here on Lake Washington. Let's turn it back over to Mike Fitzsimmons.
Well, Texaco Heat 3A is brought to you by U.S. West Direct Yellow Pages, the one that gets used. Seafair thanks the McNeil Consumer Products Company for their participation. Tylenol, the name you can trust. Mylanta, the brand doctors recommend most. And we're about ready to get going. Question is whether or not we're going to see the international news. That's been answered. We are not going to see the international news in this one. Unfortunately, Mike Jones's boat apparently is not prepared to go racing, and that's bad news for him because he hadn't had very many points. So he has only one shot now, and that's the last chance heat, and I'm sure they're going to be working on that. But we will see some very interesting racing now. This is one of the boats that's going to provide some of the fun, I think, Rick Corella, because these guys in the Compass Presents the Miss Burien Pit Stop, that's Scott Pierce. These guys have got the opportunity to run an outside lane and carry some boat speed this time, and that could be a very, very different outcome when these guys get that type of situation. Inside, the Tide wants it. Nate Brown, the driver. Bill Worster, of course. He's talked about the possibility of retiring, maybe even after this year, perhaps. He hasn't confirmed that, but it's been chatted about. Bill Worster has. The Tide boat, of course. Nate Brown, the driver, a very strong contender out here today. In lane 2, optimum lane for this particular race course here, the Ted Jones course. It's going to be Mark Tate driving Steve Wilmer's Smokin' Joe's, the camel-powered Smokin' Joe's. That's the former Winston Eagle, the boat that actually went upside down right here last year in the final heat. Same hull, same boat, running quick this year. Scott Pierce, we just mentioned, he's going to have lane 3, and the Compass Presents the Miss Burien Pit Stop, and that's Ron Jones Jr. and the 3-wing boat his dad designed. The boat was a former Miss Circus and just began competition, though it was built 4 years ago in Tri-Cities just a week ago. This is its only second race. Ken Muscatel's boat, skid fin presumably fixed now, is ready to go. Ken Muscatel, the owner and the driver of the Pete's Wicked Ale, and he is getting out onto the race course right now. And, of course, the outside boat, because of the fact that the international news will not start, is this one. It's the KISW Miss Rock. Jack Berry is the driver, and his owner is, of course, Fred Leland, fielding both this boat and the American Dream.
Scott Pierce has to be the question mark in this heat. Can he hold that third lane? And it's a battle for points now to make that final.
I think you're going to see a bit of a pinch down occur down in the corner, and the real issue is whether or not, as well, the Smokin' Joe's is going to be able to draw the Tide through the corner. They put a different combination on that Tide boat. They're going to get ready to go for broke here and race hard. Tide has some pretty good numbers as far as points are concerned, so they can afford at least to see whether they have a combination that can run with the Smokin' Joe's toward the final heat before they back off and let her go. If that becomes necessary, obviously they'll seize any advantage they can get.
I think you'll probably see the Mark Tate and the Smokin' Joe probably make a little better start here, too. By his own admission, he's been caught twice now looking when they dropped the green flag, and I think that he's going to be really paying attention, and not that he did anything wrong the last time. They were late both times dropping the green flag, but I think that he's going to be aware of that, and I think that he'll be, squeezing on the throttle just a little bit, and he'll probably lead everybody into the first turn. At least that's his plan.
The boat you're looking at is going to be the outside pace boat. He's just now going down. Jack Berry is in the Miss Rock into the lower corner. The other guys are coming out of the upper corner, so they're going to have to put this package together. And they'll catch up with Jack. He's being told on the radio that they're coming down in a hurry to group up with him. They'll get into their formation, and once again, what we'll look for is to have Jack lead them through the upper turn, providing an arc where he has a little bit more boat speed than the inside guy, which is the Tide, and they'll try to arc through that upper corner, and if they come down on a good line, they'll give them the green flag. The fact is, if they come down on a not-so-good line, they might give them the green flag.
As we've seen so far today.
That's right. So under those circumstances, we can't be absolutely certain under what criteria they'll drop that green flag, but ordinarily if the water's going to get rougher, and it appears it's going to. We have a stiff breeze right now on the front straightaway. I would guess about 15 miles an hour plus, with a few higher gusts here. And the back straightaway looks to have quite a bit of a breeze on it as well, as the rooster tails tend to vaporize and blow through the air a little bit further behind the race boats than earlier in the day. All right, the arc looks pretty decent. Jack has them cornering through the upper turn there very nicely. It's a 2-mile circumference, 2 miles to the lap, 3 laps, and of course it is a 1,000-foot radius turn course. Okay, they're coming down on the line on the inside the Tide. Lane number 2, the Smokin' Joe's. Smokin' Joe's has a very good line going right now. There's the green flag. For a minute there, they weren't sure. They put it up and almost stalled back on it, but then they let it go. But the Smokin' Joe's is taking no chances, and Mark Tate is going to go right down into the first corner with a real head of speed now through that lower corner. He's got everything under control. The Tide on the inside trying to stay with him, and it does not appear as though there's enough boat speed being carried by the Compass Presents the Burien pit stop to make any difference for Scott Pierce. There goes the Smokin' Joes, and the Tide trying to reel him in.
That boat race is really going to be for second place. Get those points to get into the final. Ken Muscatel is going to push up hard out on the outside of Scott Pierce to try and get those third place points, the points he needs for missing that one heat so he can get into this final race.
That's absolutely right for Muscatel. It's a must-get third situation, practically. All right, the Tide on the inside is really giving challenge now, but the Smokin' Joes is going to come down to take the lead and be out front at the end of lap number 1 with the Tide just a few boat lengths back. In second place, there's your race for first and second. Third place overall, it is the Pit Stop. Fourth place, the Wicked Ale. And fifth place, the Miss Rock through the lower corner for the second time. This time, the superior cornering capability of the Smokin' Joes shows very clearly, but on the inside, the Tide is trying to stay with some boat speed. It does not appear, though, that Nate Brown is going to give a real hard chase here. Wouldn't be wise for him to do it. If he can take some advantage, he will, but it'll have to come at the hands of the Smokin' Joe.
He's got to save that equipment now. Just get this thing finished in second place. Keep everything together for the final.
Nate's in a pretty good position right now to make the final heat if he can just finish second here. They don't have an awful lot of equipment. Took a real big bounce down there in the north turn by the bridge and unhooked the skid fin a little bit, backed his foot out of it a little bit. Mark's going to open up a little more, stretch out the rooster tail just a little bit. He's really commanding the race right now.
Yeah, that slowed him quite a lot, but then Nate has no reason whatsoever to give chase at this point because he's not being seriously challenged himself. In fact, none of the boats are at this point. They've stretched out into virtually a parade with about the same form of separation between each boat, approximately 600-700 feet between boats now. We got a bit of a high-speed Sunday afternoon parade going right now, as you can see, but this boat is the one that likes his position in the parade the best. He happens to be out front, and that's Mark Tate in the Smokin' Joes, looking for 400 points here and an opportunity again to have the advantage going into the final heat with respect to lane selection. The Joes is loose. You can see that the boat is showing an awful lot of air underneath those sponsons as it goes into the upper turn here on this Ted Jones race course around that 1,000-foot radius and comes out. We have a bit of a problem now for the KISW Miss Rock in the south turn. She's going dead in the water, but the checkered flag comes out for the Smokin' Joes winner of Heat 3 of the Texaco Cup. Tide's going to be second place. A distant second place it is. A distant third place will go to the Compass Presents the Miss Burien pit stop. And we have the KISW Miss Rock back up and running again.
No, that looks like Ken Muscatel.
That's Ken Muscatel, pardon me, in fourth place. And the Miss Rock is dead in the water off the south turn. Muscatel now with about a quarter of a lap to go will get scored. You're looking at Scott Pierce as he takes his cool-off lap now in the Burien pit stop boat. And Ken Muscatel through the upper corner, still at racing speed. That skid fin seems to be okay. He's taking a nice tight corner and really leaning on it, so we'd have to say that that skid fin is all right. Ken Muscatel is going to come down and get scored in the Pete's Wicked Ale. Here he comes now, and there's the checkered flag dropping as he crosses the striped buoy line, the start-finish line. Ken Muscatel, overall fourth place here in E3A.
Get a pretty good indication with these great camera shots of just how really rough it is out there. It's somewhat deceiving from the beach here, particularly up on top where we're kind of looking down on the water. And this Seattle race course, the Ted Jones race course here, is always deceiving. You look at it from here and it looks really smooth, even when there's no wind out there, but you can see there's lots and lots of parallel wakes and big swells and rollers, and all these guys have got the boat set up pretty well to get over the top of that stuff right now.
People who go out in a boat, John, out there and take a look at the water right now will see swells 3 and 4 feet deep. They'll see even white caps on top of swells, not because of the wind, but because of the churning of the water. And it would be hard to believe if you sat out there and bounced around in a small boat just how these unlimited hydroplanes are capable of negotiating this.
It's hard to imagine how rough these boats themselves can make the water. And when you look down in the turn down there, the skid fin wakes that come off there actually have white caps on top of them, and they break, you know, like a miniature surf out there. And these things dig tremendous holes in the water when they go through the corners there. So let's take a look at the final results here.
Okay, Smokin' Joe's looking good for Mark Tate. He's got a good day going. He takes the win, picks up another 400 points. The Tide Taco time, second place, another 300 points. The Compass pit stop is your third place boat. Let's go down to Tony Ventella.
Well, I don't know if Tony's there right now. Probably getting himself in position as the Tide has just come in at his end of the pits. Those boats that he's covering, so we'll check in with Tony here in a couple of minutes when he does get himself in position along with the camera. Meantime, the Miss Pit Stop has come in with Scotty Pierce. He's set to climb out of that 1,000-foot radius and comes out. We have a bit of a problem now for the KISW Miss Rock in the south turn. They boat in just a couple seconds as well.
One question I have for Mike up here. We watched that green flag come out, go back in, and come out again.
Yeah, it was almost like he didn't want to show it.
These starts are questionable.
Yeah, they really are.
Tommy Glasgow now in the pits. Tom, go ahead.
Steve, we are with Mark Tate, a winner again. A nice day. You got to like these. You and Dave Vilwalk enjoying this Seafair Sunday so far.
So far, you know, it's been real good. We got 2 heat wins and a second there in the 1 heat. The boat seems to be performing well. You know, it's going to be extremely rough in the final. It's just going to be a great boat race.
Did you notice anything, Mark, in that ride that you guys will want to do some fine-tuning with how the boat is riding on this water, projecting an even rougher ride in the final?
We made some changes from the second heat to this heat, and we'll kind of look at the computer data, and I'll give Jim the my information on what I felt the boat ride was doing, and then we'll decide what we're going to do for the final. But right now, you know, the Smokin' Joe Camel boat's just performing real well.
All right, well, enjoy your day. So far, so good.
Thank you.
All right, Mark Tate, the driver of the Smokin' Joes, and they are certainly looking very good right now heading into the championship final.
Kind of just a day at the office for Mark Tate. Nice, calm, quiet, collected. He doesn't get too excited. He seemed a little excited earlier in the day when he thought he didn't get a fair start on it, John, but he appears to be pretty calm and easygoing about things right now, and well, he should be, probably.
Yeah, really, he is, and that's one of the things that really makes Mark an outstanding boat driver here. He's got lots and lots of experience in lots of different classes of boat. He's been here before. He's been this close before, and you don't want to, you know, overestimate your chances of being able to do well. He had the same kind of string going last year when he was here, and we all know that he had catastrophic results there. So you want to knock on wood and hope that everything goes well, and I know that they're not counting their chickens before they're hatched here.
And here's something that we didn't think we were going to see today, but gosh darn it, for Jack Barry, he ends up hands up as a salute to all his friends on the beach. Yes, in fact, Jack Barry is being towed in today, even with the turbine. He was
I think he's made a new friend, a towboat driver.
Well, that's right. Jack Barry is one of the great characters of hydroplane racing. I'll tell you, if the guy ever leaves the sport, I'm resigning, as well all of us probably will. Jack Barry's a great guy, and unfortunately in that particular heat, he didn't have very good luck. All right, let's go back down to the pits and hear from Ken Moscatel.
Thank you very much, Steve Rabel. Ken, let's talk about this heat. How'd it go for you? Seems like your boat held up okay.
It was really, I thought I had, if I could have gotten to the corner first, I probably would have been okay, but I didn't have quite the top end, and the last corner I jumped inside to see if I could pick up a little ground, and it fell into a tremendous hole. I think it was 3 feet deep, and the thing just stuffed and spooled down, and got her back going and finished up. Didn't lose anything except my mind.
Maybe just quickly talk about conditions, because everybody's talking about the wind now and how it's impacting the course. What's your read?
You know, oddly enough, I mean, it's horrible out there, but it's not as horrible as it could be. I mean, there could be cars parked out there, for instance. But otherwise, it's pretty tough. Pretty tough out there.
All right, good luck the rest of the afternoon.
Thanks.
Ken Moscatel, obviously a little concerned.
There could be cars parked out there, I suppose. If there were, it would really be a mess for everybody concerned. And with my luck, it'd be my car that's parked out there. Well, there you've got the results from this Heat 3A. Let's take a look at it. Do we have the final results up? Here we go. Smokin' Joe's comes out on top. Now with a total of 1,100 points. The Tide Taco Time at 1,000 points. KMPS Pit Stop, third. 675 points. Pete's Wicked Ale in fourth. KISW Miss Rock. Jack Barry's boat, I think, still coming in. Yeah, there's Jack out there. And the International News did not start today's Heat 3A. All right, so there you go, Jack Barry. Wave to the rest of your fans. Relax a little bit. You'll still have some time, and Jack might still get things together. The Wicked Ale looking right at you in your television screen today. Let's go back out to the start-finish line and Mike.
We had the fast lap at 140.7 miles an hour, by the way, on the part of the Smokin' Joe's, the fastest lap for that particular heat. And overall average, Smokin' Joe's at 136.605, again, nowhere near records. Heat 3A was brought to you by the Small Business Group at US West, announcing the free installation proclamation.
We'll be back with more Hydroplane Sunday here on Lake Washington right after this. You You're looking live at part of the KeyBank Air Show, the A-4 Navy attack jet. This may be the only civilian-owned A-4 in the world. Former Blue Angel pilot Rick Milson in the cockpit. Rolls, loops, turns. A great part of the air show today over the waters of Lake Washington. Meantime, the show continues down at the presentation stage for the winner of Heat 3A.
I'm Tony Armstrong. As a member of the Seafair Executive Committee, it's my pleasure to introduce Wendell Raditz of McNeil Consumer Products, makers of Tylenol and Malanta, presenting the award for Heat 3A of the 1994 Texaco Cup. Wendell?
Good afternoon. I'm Wendell Raditz with McNeil Consumer Products. We're proud to be a sponsor of Seafair 1994. We're also very pleased to be able to present the award for Heat 3A for Tylenol and Malanta, Children's Tylenol and Tylenol PM to Mark Tate, driver of the Spoken Joe's race team. Congratulations, Mark.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the people of Tylenol, Malanta, and the Tylenol Children products. They're all great products. And by the end of the day of beating around out here on Lake Washington, I'll definitely take a couple. Great products, so everyone run on home and buy some. Thank you.
And up above, the A-4 continues its demonstration, kind of accentuating the point. We're all going to need an aspirin after the noise down here today, but nothing like these drivers. And John, we talk about and we hear these drivers talking about the holes that they fall in out there, a 3-foot hole, and it sounds kind of funny, but literally those boats drop into these troughs, don't they?
Yeah, they really do. These things are a real aerodynamic device in that they're out here, literally trying to fly over the water. One of the things that aids in that, or that has a big influence on that, is the surface of the water itself, as these ram wing boats run in what's termed ground effect. The ground effect and the attitude that the boat runs over that is real sensitive. You can be running along here and then everything's nice and you're floating on a cushion of air. All of a sudden you run over a parallel wake and there's a big hole underneath the boat. The boat doesn't float on that cushion of air anymore, and it literally falls out of the sky. When it drops down into those big holes and wakes, particularly in parallel type wakes, the boat has a tendency to want to steer itself, and it overreacts because aerodynamically it gets real heavy. It bounces back up in the air, and there's lots of times where those types of instances are the things that cause the accidents. It just is a complete lack of control.
When you talk about aerodynamics and coming out of the sky, you could be talking about a jet. These hydroplanes are boats that fly, and it just so happens they fly right along the surface of the water, and happily most of the time don't get too far off the water, as we continue to watch that A-4 flown by Rick Milson. And again, he's a former Blue Angel flyer. The Blue Angel's not here this year because of, well, a lot of reasons, mainly because flying over populated areas with their kind of performance just didn't work anymore for the FAA, but that's another story for another day. Tony Ventrella's got a story for us, and he's got it today. Tony?
All right, thanks, Steve. Ron Brown standing by at the Bud Camp. This is pretty much it. Got to do it now.
Tony, that's right. This is a do-or-die situation for us. We put ourselves in this position, and we have to win this heat. Without these 400 points, it's highly unlikely we even get on the front row. And for us to be a trailer, it'll be just about impossible for the Miss Budweiser to win today. So we have to go out here, win this heat, and Chip's going to drive probably the hardest heat of his life right now to go out and get in that front row for the final heat.
You saw the lane infraction. You agree with it?
Yes. I mean, rules are rules, and we did do something a little bit wrong there. So, I mean, we're not mad about it or anything. We just got to go out there now and do the best job we ever done before in our life.
And the boat's okay?
The boat's fine, Tony. It's in great shape, and I think you're going to see Chip drive one heck of a race right now.
All right. Okay, well, the great drivers come through when the pressure's on, and the pressure is on Chip Hanauer right now as we get set just a few minutes away from this next heat. Steve, back to you.
And on that rough water, you can bet everybody around here is going to be holding their breath as Chip Hanauer will be flying along the water. Now back down to the pits with Jack Berry.
There's the Miss Rock. Had to be towed back into the pits, but Jack Berry's okay, the boat's okay. But what was the problem out there, Jack? What happened?
It looks like the Gilmer belt, the belt that drives the oil pump, fell off, and so we lost the oil pump, which provides the oil pressure through the gearbox, and the gearbox may be hurt.
You want to quickly say hi to an old friend of yours?
I'd like to say hi to my coach, my longtime good friend, veteran unlimited hydroplane driver Bob Miller, who's not here today. And Bob, I love you.
Best wishes to Bob and everybody. Let's take back to Steve Rabel.
Jack, I hope they can get that boat up and running, because you're definitely an asset to the sport. We'd like to see you continue on out here today. Jack Berry, a really nice guy, and a fun guy, too.
Steve, I wonder if I could follow up on a point you made a little earlier.
Yep.
We were looking at that jet. You were talking about these boats being jets over the water.
Yep.
Can you imagine that jet flying at the water surface and putting its landing gear in the water? That's what happens. That's what happens when you have skid fins and rudders and things in the water. The water medium, the density is 821 times air density. And that's another issue altogether. These airplanes fly so beautifully and so gracefully, but these hydroplanes have this other issue. Once they get them flying, they have these things hanging in the water, dragging at 821 times the density of air. And that's the hydrodynamic issue at work there. And that's the other side of the equation, which makes these race boats so incredible to me. When you have that all cooperating, you have an incredibly powerful and beautiful riding race boat. When you have any of that out of whack, you got big trouble.
And when we talk about these boats flying along down the straightaways, they are doing speeds up to
210 miles an hour. So we're talking very, very quick stuff here. And the wings and appendages and what have you that help the boats fly have to be in absolute perfect tune with the hydrodynamic appendages, skid fins and rudders and things of that nature. And the propeller spin has to be just exactly right so it all can work in concert. Imagine if that jet had its wheels down and would drag them in the water right now. That would be a very, very different performance you're seeing.
Well, the A4 continues to perform for the fans here at Seafair. We're going to take a break, step away for a couple of minutes, bring you a couple of commercial messages, and come on back with Heat 3B and more from Thunderboat Sunday here at Seafair. It's the Texaco Cup, and we'll be right back. Big day of racing here on the shores of Lake Washington. It's almost 3 o'clock here in Seattle. If you're just joining us, well, boy, you've missed a lot of great boat racing. And the big day, the big Seafair culmination, it's hydroplane day out here. The Texaco Cup 1994. You're looking at the Miss Budweiser in an uncharacteristically dismal position today, having to win this race, Heat 3B, to make it into the final, to have any kind of shot at all, to run in the final well enough to win the Texaco Cup. Again, uncharacteristic because everything in the world has happened to Budweiser today. They've been penalized, they've had problems, and again, you've got Chip Hanauer, who's riding in there, certainly not 100%, but he's going in there, and we heard from Ron Brown a couple of moments ago that he's going to be running the race of his life.
Yeah, he's going to have to run real hard here, and this, just as Ron put it, this is a do-or-die situation for them. They have to have this 400 points to even stand a chance to make it into the final. Otherwise, they end up running the last chance heat. The winner of the last chance does indeed get the opportunity to run in the final, but 15 seconds behind, you know, the lead group of boats. And it's not impossible, as was proven last year with the Tony the Tiger boat, that it's not impossible to win from back there, but very improbable. What do you think, Mike?
I think it's the last time that such a thing happened to the Budweiser was back in 1992 at San Diego. It could happen again here. Texaco Cup Heat 3B is brought to you by Honda. Since you can't test drive a hydroplane this weekend, then why not take a spin in a new 1994 Honda Accord? X-Coupe or a spin around the lake. You'll find it any Honda dealer in the Northwest, and we'd like to make it your weekend. Seafair thanks Honda dealers of the Northwest for their participation in Heat 3B. Again, it was 1992, the last time the Bud was in this kind of a position, finding itself on the bubble and failure to make a final heat on the front row. 1992 at San Diego. All right, the Miss T Plus. Jim Harvey's boat is having a pretty good day. These guys are sleepers. Look out for Steve David. They keep putting a better combination in every time, and Steve David and the T Plus engine treatment may just have a surprise for you in this one. Also, it's the American Dream. Of course, the Performance Mortgage Sunset Chev American Dream. Dave Vilwalk has 2 firsts. He's the boat to beat, without a doubt, in this one. Mark Evans showed us some real speed, some of the best I've seen so far from him this year in the contest we saw just a little bit earlier. Mark Evans in the historic Miss Exide, dating clear back, of course, it's the return to the Exide on this race course 29 years ago in 1965, when last we saw a boat by that name. And Mitch Evans, Mark's brother, is also the Spirit of Lake Chelan. That is the Turbo Allison-powered boat, and it comes from Evansville, Indiana, but of course, it is sponsored by the folks at Lake Chelan, who are just plain happy to have their town back in the fire going away. And Miss Budweiser on the outside, can you believe this? Struggling today. Budweiser literally thrashing. Hardly ever does this boat do it. But If this boat can succeed here and get into the final in the front row and win, this will become the winningest hydroplane in the history of unlimited racing. Notice the colors on that Miss Budweiser. That's their turbine Ford. You see all red with the white trim, and of course that's the Bud Sports colors. But this boat here carries the red, white, and gold, adopted from the Maverick way back in the 1959 Gold Cup era. A former Budweiser by that color. Bernie loved those colors and put it on. This year Bud Sports said Bernie painted red.
Some might even say stolen from the Maverick.
Could be. Some might even say that. Budweiser, literally a must-win. This is their final heat. If it doesn't happen here, it's not going to happen today for the Budweiser team. And this is literally their final heat. Fitch Evans coming down the back chute now, trying to catch up to the rest of the guys as they go through the lower corner here on this Ted Jones race course. 2 miles again, remember, 3 laps, and we have 1,000-foot radius corners. They ran on 1,200-foot radius corners with a 2.5-mile course last weekend, accounting for some of the better speeds that we saw. We have a line of showers over the Bellevue area right now and up north of Lake Washington, and it is affecting our weather, moving a northeast wind our direction, leaving a good deal of slop up there to have to contend with as the boats enter that north turn. And when they do so at speed after the start, that could be a factor in this particular race as well, because there's going to be some fast speeds turned here.
Another thing to remember there is the way that the direction of the wind is right now is that the boat that's on the outside coming out of the first turn is going to be the first one to see that bad weather and the bad wind. And in this particular heat, it's going to end up being obviously the Budweiser, and Chip's going to have to get down there real fast and try to get down there first. So he's probably going to be the boat to come on the outside with the most amount of boat speed. So we're going to have to keep an eye on him not to get loose as he comes out of that back straightaway.
Absolutely right. So as they come down here now, they got a pretty good lie. White flag is out. Let's see if they give him a green. Nope, white flag only this time. They let him go on by. The Budweiser, anticipating that they had to just jump on it, he mashed the throttle there, did Chip Hanauer, attempting to get a jump just in case. He knows also that there have been some late greens out here, so he wanted to make certain that he was at the front of the line, and that he was. As they now arc around the corner, you can see all those wakes. You can see that stripe off the left-hand side of each of the wakes that seems to be a thin portion of the wake. That's the skid pin stripe. And that is the big hole that John Walters referred to a little bit later. That'll stay there, too. When those boats go down now to the north turn and come back around down here, that stuff is going to be waiting for them. And there's going to be some very sizable swells there. Look at that. You can see the waves down there. That's what they can expect to find when they get back down there. But the next time they get back down there in the south turn, they're going to be running at about 175 to 185 miles an hour. Now, again, we go up to the arc of the north turn. T-plus on the inside. The American Dream, lane 2, lane 3, the X side, lane 4. Rolling around now through the fourth lane at this point. Churning things up. It's the Spirit of Lake Chelan on the outside. Miss Budweiser having to come down as the pace boat. Again, Chip's trying to bring the speed up just a little bit to the line. Again, they're out of position a bit. And again, it appears they're not going to give him the green again. There goes the green, and I mean, Chip Hanauer was already 500 feet past the barge when that happened. But on the outside, Hanauer is mashing the throttle. Look at the X side as she rolls side by side with the Bud as they go through the corner. The American Dream did not get quite as good a start that time. Not certain whether or not the green dropped down, so the X side is your leader coming off the corner. Oh, we got a couple of boats passing through.
And T-plus ended up driving through the rooster tail.
Went through 2 rooster tails that time. And there's likely to be a penalty on the T-plus. We may have a problem with the handling of that boat, possibly a mechanical difficulty. We'll see what happens there, but the officials don't like that at all. Meanwhile, it is X-side, your leader, and he is wild. He is absolutely out of control for a second there up through that corner, but Mark fortunately gets it back, and he pushes the Budweiser. He pushes the American Dream wide as well. Now the Dream comes down. As your leader, it is Budweiser in third. In second place, the X side. We've got a very fast one this time.
Yeah, we sure do. Mark's really got that thing hooked up and rolling. You can see when he got down to the other end down there in the north end of the turn, the boat wants to skip off those parallel wakes and the rollers, and they try to set the thing down and run it closer to the water. It overreacts every time it touches.
T-plus lost the cowling in that incident down there. Now we got the American Dream through the lower corner now, and matching the throttle down is Dave Bilwalk. He came a little close and he kind of bore out just a little bit. I don't know if there'll be a call on that even against the X side. Meanwhile, the X side on the outside is giving chase, and it is the American Dream, followed by X side, followed by Budweiser. Budweiser's superior boat speed, though, in this upper turn could make a big difference here. It'd be a very large factor in how this one comes out. Let's see what happens. The American Dream pounding through that slop. Budweiser taken wide again by the X side.
Dave's in a position right now where he can use the whole race course. He's got his 5-boat overlap, so he can go out wide, he can come back in tight, and he's really pushing these guys around, just bullying them around out there.
He truly is. He's using the race course to his advantage legally and very, very well. Pushing everybody out, making them drive an even bigger race course while he has all the advantages right now. As you can see, it's a commanding lead. Real high going into that turn. The Exide pushed him way out. He may be out in 4th place now. He is. In fact, the T-Plus overcame the Budweiser through the corner after the Bud got way out of attitude. And up the back chute, it is the American Dream continuing to lead and riding in now into the wake of the Spirit of Lake Chelan here on this third time around rather. Caution flag is up because of conditions. White goes out now for the Spirit of Lake Chelan, but the checker should come out for the American Dream. It does. Little indecision on the part of the checkered flag operator on the tower here, but it is the American Dream winning. 2nd place, it's going to be Miss Exide. 3rd place, physically, it's going to be T-Plus, but we don't know about whether or not the T-Plus has got a problem with the officials. We'll have to check that out. 4th place, it's going to be the Budweiser, which virtually takes the Bud out of contention for the final. Day of racing is over for the Budweiser camp. Except for the last chance, the best she can do is a trailer position now.
Yeah, one thing to think about here for next year's guys is you know, we take a look at how difficult it is for the Budweiser to come from the outside and even be competitive, let alone win. Mr. Donor and several of the other people that are in a position to make decisions here are already talking about possibly going back to the clock start next year and doing away with the flag start. If that's the case, these boats are running so close, it could be a real barn burner, just a derby out there every single event.
Well, Chip is now beginning to realize, obviously, what a lot of guys have been complaining about all year. They said, hey, Chip, you always had the inside lane and always had this advantage. I think we've still got some racing going on out here, however, because it appears as though Steve David is still charging, trying to make up some distance, and I do believe he got himself a penalty there. I wasn't certain of that, but given what he did coming through those rooster tails and losing lane, I think he did. And so and he gets crazy wild as he comes across the start-finish line also. As you can see, the cowling is gone from that. That actually changes the finishing positions a little bit. We didn't have any official word on that. He did get a one-lap penalty. He did strike a buoy also. So the T-Plus got a little wild going into the first turn there, struck a buoy, got a penalty, and had to take the extra lap. She takes dead last. That doesn't make any difference as far as Budweiser's game plan is concerned. They're in big trouble now.
Mike, add a little significance to the fact that Chip Hanauer, after he crossed the finish line, did not take a cool-down lap, as almost all these boats always do. He just brought it directly into the pits, almost as if to say, you know, I'm so angry about the way things have happened today, I might as well just put the boat in the pits and forget about it. Do you think they're even going to want to come out and try for a last chance?
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt, he'll be out, and he intends to make a start in the final. Bernie wouldn't have it any other way, and Chip will give it everything he's got, even from the trailer position. But this is Budweiser's toughest day in a long while, and that face tells it all. Not a good day for this fellow, Chip Hanauer. 40 years old. Bernie pats him on the back. It's okay, Chip. But hey, this is the guy who owns the afternoon right now, Dave Villwalk. Let's go to Tony Pinchella.
Okay, thanks, guys. Chip just came out of the boat. You're down to one last shot here.
Yeah, tough week.
Well, I guess so. That outside lane is not a piece of pie at all, is it?
No, it's just can't seem to get a break here.
All right, what happens next? Just going to go for it again? You just went for it now and it didn't work. Does it seem like there's no hope? There's got to be a little bit of hope.
There's always a little bit of hope. As long as there is, keep trying.
Okay. All right, Chip, give it a try. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, he's pretty down, obviously, pretty disappointed. Can't even hear him talk. His voice is almost completely shot. He's going to go in that last chance heat. That's the only opportunity he's got left.
A really tough day for Chip, and again, here in front of the hometown fans. Meantime, there's a guy that's not only on top of the deck of his boat, he's on top of the world. Dave Villwalk has had everything go his way today, and well, he should. He has driven masterfully. His boat has operated flawlessly. Tom Glasgow's down on the pitch right now.
All right, Steve. Well, nothing wrong with perfection, and it has been a perfect day so far for Dave Villwalk and the American Dream Team. That's not Dream Team 2, by the way. That's just Dream Team. We'll get to David as soon as he heads over to the dock and talk with him about what happened in that ride, which was obviously very good. Some speculation going into that heat that, at least down in this area of the pits, that maybe Dave would just take it easy, being assured of a spot in the final, but that was not the case. A very solid ride, setting himself up as the favorite, I would think, along with the Smokin' Joes as we look at the championship heat right now. We'll get to David as soon as he gets the helmet off, getting some assistance here. All right, great. Well, Dave, 3 heats, 3 wins. So far, so good. Is this your best run as a driver in this boat?
Yeah, it is, in any boat for that matter. thank God Sunset Chevrolet Performance Mortgage helped us get the little bit of money to come here to pay for gas and to put the boat in the water. They really helped us out a lot. And the crew does a great job. They got this boat put together and got it running great. You know, we didn't hurt anything, it doesn't look like, so it looks like we're ready for the final.
Any difference in this ride in this heat compared to the previous 2 heats? Are you going to have to make any adjustments getting ready for the championship heat?
Well, we switched the boat around a little bit for that heat, but it feels fine. Both motors were good and both propellers were good, so I don't know. We'll just pick one of them, toss a coin, and see what we can do.
Your thought on the developments with the Budweiser now in a very difficult situation. It is not like there's any way they can be a factor in the championship heat, which frankly for everybody else is great news.
Well, they're a great bunch of racers. I love the Budweiser guys and a lot of guys that work there, and they work real hard just like we have. We've been pushed out of some final heats before when things went awry, and they're a great bunch of racers, and they'll be back another day. They're going to pass a few boats today before it's all done as well, I'll bet you.
Some classy words from a gentleman that used to be Chip Hanauer's crew chief when Chip drove the Circus, so they know each other very well. Steve, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Tom, thanks a lot. Yeah, good friends those two are, and Chip Hanauer will be the first to give credit to Dave Villwock, aside from saying that his boat is not operating very well. Meantime, let's bring in the rest of the T+. Here it comes on board that motorboat right there, and it'll be back, and Steve David will put it on his boat and get ready for the final, which is coming up here in just a bit. Meantime, let's go back out to Mike Fitzsimmons.
Heat 3B was brought to you by Honda. Since you can't take a test drive in a hydroplane this weekend, why not take a spin in a new 1994 Honda Accord EX Coupe around Lake Washington? You'll find it at any Honda dealer of the Northwest. We'd like to make your weekend. Boy, why would you want to take one around this course anyway? This is getting to be a nasty-looking race course, without a doubt. The T+ is getting its cowling back, but they lost an awful lot out there and more than just a cowling. We'll be right back with more from the Ted Jones race course on Lake Washington. And we're back on Lake Washington once again, and here's a kind of a shot that's a little bit like the security camera at a convenience store that tells you when a crime's been committed. Take a look at this. Watch this buoy right to the right of your screen get pasted. Boom, right there. Then there goes the cowling. That's the T+. She was on her way through 2 different rooster tails in that first corner. Look at it again. She's at the top of your screen now, coming through the turn. Plenty of room there, but all of a sudden the T+ starts to go straight, and it's pasted 1 buoy already and begins to take a straight line across 2 rooster tails. Watch this. Here it comes. You can see that boat taking an arch. Oop, there's 1 rooster tail. Lose the cowling. Then there's another rooster tail to go through as well. We'll be right back. That's what kind of day T+ is having. Welcome back to the Texaco Cup. Let's go down to the trophy presentation stage. They got a present for Dave Villwock, who just won Heat 3B.
I'm Bob Rupp. As a member of the Seafair Executive Committee, it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Fred Nelson from Honda Dealers of the Northwest, who will make the award presentation for Heat 3B of the 1994 Texaco Cup.
Thank you, Bob. I'm Fred Nelson of the Honda Dealers of the Northwest. For 10 years, we've been sponsoring with Heat 3B, and we really enjoy it. And at this time, I'd like to present the trophy to Dave Villwock.
Thanks. That's Dave Villwock. It's with a V. Really proud, for all of Fred Leland's team. We're happy to have, all our car dealers involved here in the race. And we have the Honda people, we have Sunset Chevrolet, who helped us get us here. And we're just happy to have everybody involved with this great event. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, Dave Villwock with a V gets a trophy, a 3rd one today. He's had a brilliant day today, and this is, people have looked at Fred Leland boats over the years, and we've done some special features on Fred Leland race boats in the past and how much fun they've had with the Miss Rock and the 10,000 signatures on the bottom of the boat and everything else. But nobody has ever seen one of Dave Villwalk's boats or one of Fred Leland's boats run like Dave Villwalk has been able to do it. This is the little boat that could, and it just might.
That B today is for victory.
That's right. Wilwalk is the German pronunciation. We've got Ron Callan now. Let's go down to Ron.
I'll tell you what, Heat 3B might just be the best heat rider in the You went head-to-head against Chip, and you came out on top.
First time I've ever really gone head-to-head and pulled out and won. I mean, to get by Chip like that is just fantastic. It just was a real rush. It was great.
I think Mike was mentioning at the North Turn at one point, you were a little bit out of control there.
Oh, yeah. Well, I knew that Chip was going for it. We had to get up there. We couldn't have him come across on us, so I didn't use my canard flaps at all. I just let her sail, and we got up in there, and there was the rough. Water was still there from our previous lap on the warm-up lap, and holy moly, there was a lot of waves. So got on the flaps a little bit and tried to settle the boat down, but we bounced all over the place. But what a great heat. My crew, we had to switch a gearbox before this. Just on a trailer bar before when the other heat was running, my crew switched the gearbox in a hurry and got us in the race, and we got in there and did that well. It was great.
Hey, we'll see you in the final.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
Mark Evans, let's head to Steve Rabel. It's getting noisy, Steve.